toward you. So I am here with Miss Sherry Klausner, superstar realtor in Northeast Ohio with one of the Century 21 offices. Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you like the top agent in your office or something like that?
Yes, for the last 3 years, I've been,
Three
I think
years.
the top one who didn't have a team.
So
As
you're
a,
so you're like the queen. You're like royalty there, aren't you?
I wish.
You
Let
don't
my
you don't
broker know that.
you don't get to boss your broker around.
No, unfortunately, I wish I did, but no.
Oh, that's awesome. So
I
that's so
tried
that
to.
so I know and I know this because you've referred probably. I should have looked this up, but I'm probably 100 clients in the last year or two to us.
Absolutely. I
Does
love
that
it.
does that sound right? So
Yeah.
that's a pretty good referral to us, knowing that you have to give out 3 inspectors. So how do you remember how you and I met?
Yes. I tell people
Tell
all
me.
the
Because I have no memory.
time. You don't?
Well, remind
I'll
me.
tell
Tell
you
me.
all about
Tell
it.
me how it
So
went.
one of my first inspections was with friends of mine from high school, and their inspector, I don't know where they got that inspector, but they had hired somebody who had, I didn't know anything about them, and they had canceled on them last minute. And I remember asking my broker, what do I do? I got to get this inspection done. We're at the end of our term and our time limit for due diligence. We got to get somebody. And I started calling around for ASHI certified inspectors, and I got a hold of you, and I said to you, you know what I said. And the fact that you're recording this is making it worse, because I don't, now you're going to hold me to it forever.
Yes, I
But
am.
what I said was, if you do this inspection for me today, I will refer tons of clients to you over my career. I promise you will have tons of clients. Please, could you just do this for me? And you're like,
And you
fuck
said
that.
that without even knowing that
Uh-huh.
how I would perform, which is
And
funny.
thank you.
What made you even say that?
I was really, I was really in a rock and a hard spot, and you had luckily got a cancellation that day. Last second you had a cancellation, so you jumped out to Chagrin Falls, and you went and did my friends from high school, their inspection. Everybody was very impressed with you. I was beyond happy. You guys were able to do everything that we needed. We had a well inspection. I think we had I don't know if we had a septic at that time, but we had a general, we had, I think, a WDI. What else did we have?
Right
I don't
on.
know, there were a bunch of things, probably radon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did everything, and you guys do it all pretty much. And I can't think of anything that you wouldn't be able to help us with, so that we
So
can get
you
it
think,
done.
Sherry, do you think that is that, because you have to give out, 3 inspectors,
Yeah, we have to give out at
and
least.
so you got to get some other, inspectors on there. What is important for you, a top agent, for a home inspector to be, do, or have? And I think you hit on one of them. I think you like to see the inspector be able to offer, or at least coordinate every single inspection that is available on your purchase agreement, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. That, so that we aren't inconveniencing both sets of clients, whether it be the buyer or the seller, to access their home for inspections is difficult. Not only that, during our busy season as agents, it's very difficult to keep going to a house. So being able to do that in one swoop is very important and convenient for everybody. Then number two, we have very tight deadlines once these are accepted, and we don't have much notice. So to be able to do those all at once, again, is very valuable to us. And then another thing that we really value, the thing that I really love about you and your guys, is your communication styles. You guys definitely will take the time to explain things to our clients, including what is really a priority at the time to get things done, which things are bigger, which things can be honey-do list over the next year or two. things that are more expensive, what can happen if you let those things go and don't fix them properly. And I also like the fact that you guys are very cognitive of the language you use when we're discussing inspections. You guys don't tend to say these are things you can ask the seller, because in our current market, being a seller's market, we don't really have a lot of negotiating power when you're working with a buyer right now. And we still need to express the importance of certain items that need to be done, or the fact that maybe these are things that can wait over time.
Right.
So that language and your communication with each of your inspectors. So
And that's a point that I would like to ask you about. You know, our relationship started initially with you and me several years ago.
Yeah, probably
And then after that, then I had to get you used to Dan, my first inspector, and then Tyler, my second inspector, and then Sean, my third inspector, and then Josh, my fourth inspector, and then Joey, my fifth inspector, and then Nick, my sixth inspector, and now David, my seventh inspector, although not everybody is still with me. But you seem to work well with all those guys, which, you know, so it's not just my personality that favored, obviously. I mean, you've gone, you know, I wish I could say that every, you know, referral source that we have, you know, is like you with regard to being okay with every inspector that I have available. Can you talk to me about that just for a minute? I mean, how is that? Why is that so?
Well, I've gotten to know everybody over the years. You know, I've sort of seen their styles, and you get to know your clients, especially when you're working with buyers. You show them homes and things like that. You have a good idea of who will work better with certain personalities.
That's true. Yeah.
As you know, there are certain inspectors in your team where I know if my clients are nervous Nillies, I would prefer one inspector over another. And then other ones that are very, like my clients are very blunt to the point, I have different inspectors than I would probably prefer for those. And yeah, there's just a lot of the fact that you do have more than one type of person there. Even though all of their communications are fantastic, the fact that you have more than one type of personality there makes a huge difference because I'm working with all different types of personalities.
Right. Right. That's very well. Yeah, very well put. Now, I know, being as busy of an agent as you are, you also get exposed to a lot of different home inspectors besides us. And, you know, I know you and I have had conversations about this in the past, but, you know, let's say outside of, you know, us, you know, what have you been exposed to that you don't like that happens and you're like, oh, I am never referring this inspector?
There are certain inspectors I've had that, you know, people who probably aren't making my list, or my clients are getting referrals from, you know, family, friends, things like that. And I watch their style, and it's very quick. It is not as communicative. And to be quite honest, as an agent, I get very nervous that after closing, my clients are going to come back and say, these things weren't discovered. I'm going to try to sue you. I'm going to try to sue the inspector. I'm going to sue the seller. I'm going to sue the seller's agent for not disclosing things that, you know, these are very important things. A home purchase is not to be taken lightly. And that's another thing I tell my clients is that's not one of the areas you want to bargain hunt. Not that you're the most expensive, but you're definitely worth every cent.
Well, and you know, and I want to come back to that, but continue.
I know personally, I know sometimes your inspectors might be apologizing to me for taking longer than whatever hours they think I have scheduled, but I tell them all the time, I'd much rather you guys find everything take your time. I'm not in a rush. I personally don't schedule things to be right after the inspection unless there is no other choice. And if there is no other choice, I let you know. But
You've been very good at that. Yes.
yeah, I really don't want you guys to rush through anything because it's such an important thing. This is not, you're buying a house that, most likely is $100,000 to $1 million. These are things that it's not to be taken lightly. This is a big investment. Usually anybody's, biggest personal investment. So you really want to make sure that it's thorough and they have a really good understanding of what they're looking into, and that this isn't something that's going to go over the buyer's head, that they're not going to know what's been found or what's ahead of them. And I feel you guys have really done a really good, thorough job on that. So that's why I feel really comfortable. But I've seen people, I know one inspection, not to get off on a tangent, and I don't know if you'll be able to use this, but I was at an inspection that my clients, they were first-time home buyers. They had friends that referred them a specific inspector, and I really didn't feel comfortable about it. I'd never heard of him. I didn't know any of his credentials. And when I got there, I had a feeling the house had some issues to begin with. And I kept telling them, the inspection is going to be very important for this because I already see the driveway is all cracked up. There's things going on in the garage that have me concerned. And the house was very old and they weren't going to do any repairs. And I said to them, who is your inspector? And they said, oh, this guy Ken's really highly referred to us, recommended. When I got there and started talking to him, I started pointing out these things to him. And I said, are you sure there is not a foundation issue with this home? I'm very concerned from the things that I've now learned over working with you guys over the years, that these are like, there's tree roots around and things like that, that these are things that I really have to watch out for. And I walk into the inspections and I'll be like, this is what my concern is. You guys will ask my clients, do you guys have any concerns before we start? And I'll tell what I'm seeing and they tell what their concerns are. So I had done that, and I don't know that he was really eager to listen, but he was definitely reciprocative. And he definitely said in no uncertain terms 3 different times that he sees no structural or foundation issues. Okay. And the night before our closing, about 7 hours before, I think we got notified at 11 p.m. and our closing was the next morning, very, very early, like 6 or 7 a.m. The listing agent contacted us and said the city inspector found that there's huge foundational issues. And I just could not believe. I was like, they didn't use that person again. They used you guys later when we got them out of that contract and into the next house. But they had wasted so much time, money on appraisals, inspections,
right. and your time as well.
Yeah, my time, the other agent's time, and they kept trying to talk us into it.
Yeah, so I get that. So I'm hearing that, thoroughness, accuracy, communication and ability to perform many different inspections is critical for you.
Yes,
as a top agent. And
I know you know about this one inspector I told you about.
Yes.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
I won't say his name.
We can't say names.
But I will tell you, I have never fought with inspectors before. I personally really look at inspectors as my friend. They're part of my dream team. I literally call you guys part of my dream team all the time. And I don't look at inspectors as my enemy. They're our friend. They work for my buyer. They're working to help me get through any of these issues with the ROC. So they're my friends. I had an inspector. I don't know where my clients got these people from, despite all of my warnings. This guy came, and he has a reputation in town for being a deal killer, not a deal maker, deal killer. And that he literally said to the family and to my clients in front of me that your agent's not going to like me because I'm going to try to kill this deal, or whatever he was saying. He was trying to scare my clients. And he literally said that. He also, it was a very hot summer day, and there was some concern about the air conditioner being strong enough, and he purposely put it on heat and waited till the last moment to turn the air conditioning on so that everybody would be very uncomfortable the entire inspection. And then he claimed that the air conditioner wasn't working up to par, when it was, like he had the heater going on a hot summer day. I couldn't believe what I was like experiencing. It was just a nightmare inspection.
That
And
seems to be extreme, Sherry, and I do remember that. But I mean,
yeah, you remember I called you after. I said, do you know who this guy is?
yes, yes,
I have never heard of this guy. He was terrible.
yes.
I was pissed.
But that guy's an outlier, though. I mean, come on,
Yes,
most of the other inspectors that you've come across, I'm sure,
oh, they don't typically act like that.
are going to be decent guys and gals but you still favor us because of our thoroughness. I
Right.
have to believe that we're not the most thorough inspectors in town, Sherry. That can't be, that I
I
would.
personally think you are. I don't know I've never had anybody else who has been. I think maybe one inspector, but he's retired, and that was at the beginning of my career. He also had a reputation for being very thorough. But yeah, I mean, I don't personally, I've seen many that go through a house in a half hour, and typically you guys will take about an hour to 2 hours.
At least, I'd like to say 2 hours to 3 hours, and I think that there's probably inspectors that'll double that time
Oh,
out in the
for
field.
sure. Your guys, I've been at some that are 4 and 5 hours. I don't mind. I love it. I say
Right.
go for it. Check every
Right.
crack, check every corner,
Because
crawl through the crawl spaces, get on the roof.
Sherry, I think that there's maybe a tendency for some inspectors, myself included, to think that, the realtor community who we'd like to get our referrals from, might get maybe a negative feel for an inspector because they're taking so long compared to maybe the other inspectors in the same market.
Maybe, but that's not the way I look at it.
Not the way you look at it.
I look very, I
'Cause
want
you
to be
don't want
very
that
thorough. I
callback.
don't want after closing to get those
I
calls.
don't want that callback. And the thing I'm going to come back to you on is that we've literally done hundreds of I can't even count how many. It's over 100.
Oh, for sure. Me and
You know,
you.
maybe even a
Me, you,
couple.
and the guys, absolutely.
Yeah,
We've done
between
many.
me and the guys, it's got to be. And and we're not perfect, Sherry, and I know that, and I'm sure that there has been some amount of callbacks with your clients after they've moved in. Perhaps they were just minor things that we were able to take care of, because I know we're not perfect.
I can't recall any except maybe one, and that was it. I really can't recall any. I don't know if you have something in mind, but I
Nope,
don't.
I can't remember, but I know we're not perfect. I don't know inspectors not perfect.
Well, you guys are human.
We are
You can
human,
only
but
see so much. You can't see
right.
behind the walls, but you
Well, and
have
yeah.
tools that help you get a better gauge than most of
Right,
us do.
right. Well, good. Is there any advice that you would give to a new inspector across the country?
Mhm.
Um, just going through their training, that's decided to become a home inspector. They want to do a good job. They want to make it their career. They
Mhm.
want to, they want to be able to make a name for themselves, in a good name in the marketplace, and work with realtors, which is what I advocate. We can all put the client first, but we can also obviously work well with our referral sources, who primarily are our realtors. But what advice would you give to that inspector who's, in their first year, maybe they're going through their training, you know, they're nervous about learning everything, but they know eventually they're going to be out there, you know, doing inspections for a fee.
I definitely would focus on the fact that your communication is very, very important. Really, I like the structure that we have set up throughout the years of ask first what the agent and the client, the buyer, if they have any concerns. I know that I pretty much give the same spiel that your guys do, which is you don't need to follow me around. I'm going to give you a huge report with photos and a description. And when I get through each floor or wherever I find something, I'll come get you and explain those things. And then at the end, I always go over what are the priorities, what are the things that you think that we need to focus on when talking to the sellers and the listing agent for this negotiation that we're about to go into. Your reports are really important on how you guys will, you know, you color categorize and explain which ones are things that should be really focused on right now compared to later. The communication and being able to call, having my clients be able to contact you guys after the inspection, especially because we only have here in Ohio, we only have 3 days to respond. So it's a quick little turnaround. And oftentimes buyers, they've never done this before. If they have, they don't know the ins and outs of a house. They're not contractors, they're not builders, they're not inspectors or real estate agents. They don't live and breathe this the same way. So it's hard for them to jump into something like this and get, you know, all this information so fast and have it, you know, they have to respond in 3 days. So having you guys to be able to, it's very overwhelming. And being able to contact you guys if there's something I can't help with, or we can't research, or we can't contact a contractor. You guys also are an excellent source of referrals for contractors for the work that, you know, if I don't know an electrician for a specific area, I've contacted you guys many of times.
I know.
Asking, which is huge help.
Right.
And then befriending agents, I think, is really important. I don't know if all of your guys, I have no idea if it's just me or maybe you guys befriend all of you.
You're our favorite, Sherry.
You guys
don't tell any of the other agents.
You guys are my favorite too, but don't put that out there because I'll get in trouble.
I know. Oh, we're gonna have to edit this part out.
Yes, this part you have to edit, but yeah, definitely. Making friends with the agents is very important because
that's interesting.
Our communication, we're all team, and I know a lot of inspectors, like that one story I told you of him setting it up where we were enemies and working against
arm's length, right?
That's not the style most agents want to work with. They don't want that kind of thing. We're really all a team and we're working on our clients' behalf. We're all trying to get our clients the best situation. And you know me, I'm not afraid to say, walk away from this house. Let's move on. I'll find you another house. There's always more houses, even in the shortage, always more houses. I'd much rather move on.
I've seen
you do that. Yep. Have a happy client. I want them to refer me again. I want the same thing for you guys. I want them to be happy with the inspectors that I've recommended and that they know this house and they feel good about their purchase and not get those phone calls a year later. I don't want that.
I think that's one of the reasons why you're a top agent, Sherry, I would say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think just no matter where you are in real estate, your reputation is definitely everything.
Right.
Whether it comes to appraisers, lenders, inspectors, title companies, or agents.
Right.
It's all this business is very competitive. We're all a dime a dozen, and you really have to make a good name for yourself and really be in it for your client's behalf. And they have to feel that and trust that. They'll sense it. They sense it within a second. They'll sense it if you really aren't. So for an inspector, I think that's very important. We're really working all on a same team for that purpose of, working for our client.
Right. Well said. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your busy day because I know how busy it's been for you. So, again, Sherry Klausner with Century 21, Queen of the Office and Northeast Ohio. We appreciate you, Sherry. Thanks for spending some time with me to share your
Sure.
awesome advice. So, again, I appreciate you
You too.
and look forward to us having a prosperous rest of the year.